It's the grand finale. It's almost over. One chapter at least. Chapter 14 from Canto 10. Chapter 14. What's chapter 14 from Canto 10 about? No, that Brahma Vimoha Lila is chapter 13. And then after he gets bewildered, then he offers prayers. Yeah. And prayers ended with verse number 40 of chapter 14. And so that left 21 more verses. And what was the last section that we heard about? Sandy, anybody here besides this young man would remember what we heard about last? After Brahma's prayers, what happened? Nothing happened, right? Blank pages. What happened? He departed. What else? Too much japa this weekend. You forgot.
They had lunch together.
Huh?
They had lunch together, and how we talked about time, and we talked about just the amazing way of Krishna's reciprocating with the cowherd boys.
Yeah, once again, because this is time with the cowherd boys, there's a lot of appreciation of the intimacy, the good fortune, not just they had darshan, some spurti, some momentary, and then poof, he's gone. But they were with him all day, every day. Playing with him, wrestling with him, climbing trees with him, making imitations of the birds and the frogs and the peacocks and the... So there, it just went again to that appreciation of their intimacy, their good fortune. Okay, so now is the final section. Krishna, the ultimate object of love for everyone. 21 verses. 22 verses. Oh, 12 verses. King Parikshit said, "Oh, Brahmana, how could the cowherd women have developed for Krishna, someone else's son, such unprecedented pure love? Love they never felt, even for their own children? Is that possible? With Krishna, it's possible." So, commentary from Sanatana Goswami. The women thought of Krishna as the son of Yashoda, not as the Lord. They should not develop more affection for him than for their own children. What's the reason for this attraction? They develop more love than previously, even for their own sons. That's Maharaj Parikshit's question. Shukadev Goswami enthusiastically answers, "O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. A living entity," this is the Bhaktivedanta purport, "a living entity serves his society, nation, family, and so on, only because these objects of affection represent the expanded concept of false ego. A man derives great egoistic pleasure by seeing himself as a selfless well-wisher of his so-called family and community. Thus, To gratify his proud sense of false ego, a man is prepared even to lay down his life. So here's a nice little chart. Check it out. I'm at the center. My immediate family is the next. My extended family is next. My community, my society, my nation, my species. Where's Krishna? So again, commentary. Shukadev speaks, "O king, a person has more attachment for his self than for his children. This fact will be examined first in 5 verses before coming to a conclusion. In ordinary dealings, one's own self is the object of extreme attachment." So here we go, 5 verses. Count them. Here's the first 2. "For this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than to his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. To the gross materialist, who cannot see anything beyond the gross material body, there's nothing beyond the senses. Therefore, his occupational activities are limited to concentrated and extended selfishness." This is a purport from Srila Prabhupada from Canto 1, Chapter 2. Concentrated selfishness centers around the personal body. This is generally seen among the lower animals. Extended selfishness is manifested in human society and centers around the family, society, community, nation, and world with a view to gross bodily comforts. So there's 2 of the first 5. If a person, text verse number 53, if a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, he will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one desires to continue living. One's desire to continue living remains strong. As the body of an intelligent person, this is the BBT, as the body of an intelligent person becomes old and useless, he strongly desires to live, even when he knows that his body cannot live much longer. This indicates he has gradually become aware that his self is more important than his body. Thus, simply the desire for life can indirectly bring one to a preliminary understanding of self-realization. Interesting logic. Here's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. With a slight discrimination, when the attachment changes to the soul, even the bodily conscious person develops more love for the soul than the body. The body becomes dear because of the soul. Seeing the difficulties for the self or the soul on giving up the body, the person understands that they are not the pains of the soul, but only the body. Out of affection for the soul, he has the desire to keep the soul in that body. So that's 3 out of 5 verses. Here's verse 54. Therefore, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being, and it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation is moving and non-moving entities exists. Jiva Goswami's comment. The word chara, or moving, refers to the body and sons, etc. Achara, or non-moving, refers to a house and other possessions. One thinks of everything in this world in relation to oneself. By that, everything becomes an object of pleasure for the self. Jiva Goswami. I hope you're feeling very philosophical this evening. Because if not, you'll be distracted. Because it's too philosophical. But it has to do with self-realization, after all. So there's a little graphic, mindful, and then mindfulness. The last of these series. You should know that Krishna, you should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. So he, Sukadeva Goswami, is taking this topic of selfishness and extending it and extending it and extending it and extending it, for those that are thoughtful, to the Supreme. We could go through those steps again. We won't go through the steps again. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada commenting on this verse. Parikshit Maharaj, in his Prabhupada's purport to this verse, asked Shukadeva Goswami why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring, or life itself. At that time, Shukadeva Goswami replied that everyone's Atma, or soul, is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. However, that Atma, the spirit soul, as is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Now, there's forgetfulness of that fact and the absorption in the temporary. And that's a problem. But if there's a thoughtful individual, where's this affinity for the temporary coming from? What's animating the temporary? Those kings, this is Jiva Goswami's commentary, those kings who think the body is the self are not good. Those who understand the Atma are good. Those who understand the Lord are better. Those who have affection for Krishna alone are the best. Thus, you are the best king. So that ends that series of 5 verses. Now let's see what's next. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see Krishna within everything. Such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. And this is Krishna book. Of course, it's chapter 14, but it parallels the chapter 14 of Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. So remember what the question was? This is a whole big answer to a very simple question. What was the simple question?
Why are the women of Vrindavan are more attracted to Krishna than their own son.
Yeah. Isn't it a nice answer? I mean, it's a nice answer. It's a very nice answer because they're not Vedantists. They're not scholarly personalities. Who knows if they even went to school? Because they're just doing agriculture and taking care of their families, and they're attached to their children because that's part of their life, the central part of their life. And many here in the room have children also. So, what is it about these Brijbasi ladies that they have more affinity for Krishna than for their own son? The active principle of everything is Krishna, and how the highly elevated transcendental see everything in connection with him. After considering all the objects of love, such as son's body and soul, it is concluded that Krishna is the final object of love. This is Vishwanath. In this verse, the word vastuta, or in truth, has the sense of but finally. Those who know Krishna see him as the cause of all moving and non-moving entities and also the effect. Somebody want to explain that? Because otherwise you're going to ask me to explain it. You said something on that slide back there. Could you? I know my audience. So who would like to explain? Do you understand the question that's being asked or the point that's being made? I'll read it again. Those who know Krishna see him, should be with a capital H, as the cause of all moving and non-moving entities and also the effect. He's the cause and the effect of everything. Moving, non-moving. You just give a simple answer. It doesn't have to be PhD level. Go ahead.
Everything is produced from him. I'm remembering Janmadhyasya Tanvaya. Everything is coming from him. He doesn't have any other source.
So everything is coming from him. So he is the cause of all moving and non-moving entities. Now what about and the effect?
So in the second canto,
Go ahead. Go for it.
the second canto, when the creation is unfolding, the devatas of the elements pray to Krishna to help us move forward. We are stuck here. So even for the further effect to take place, they pray to Krishna to get the things going.
And then that's evidence that he is also the effect. He's the cause of the effect. He's the cause of all causes.
And I think there are many ways to want to see this. One thought that
Yeah, there's many.
was the fact that the effect of the living entities that are moving and not moving, the fact that they move or not move, itself is from Krishna,
Yeah.
in the sense that he says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the ability man. So any ability that we have to move, think, comes from Krishna. Whereas,
So he's the cause. The ability comes from him. He's the cause. Moving or non-moving. He's the cause. Moving or non-moving.
Like in the factors of action, we hear that without the sanction of super soul, nothing happens. So the effect that happens because of everything is also because of the sanction of super soul.
Yeah, I'm being a little stubborn It's not that your answers were wrong. You didn't answer. I just turned it around and took the one side. The effects, as you're saying, the effects are there because of the cause. And therefore, he's the cause and the effect. He's the cause and he's the effect. Because the effect is his or of him. Because he's the cause, he's also the effect of everything. Okay, that's a nice philosophical point. Let's move on. You're all Vedantas, I can tell. The original, unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things and the source of even that subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. That's the cause. What then could one ascertain to be separate from him? That's, therefore also the effect. This is a nice drawing of Jiva Goswami. Actual existence, bhavartha, the actual existence of all things, material or spiritual, is situated, actual existence is situated, should be in the shelter of all existence, such as the material and efficient cause. The material and efficient cause. There's language like this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is a master of making this little technical, a little complicated, little perplexing subject as easy as you can make it. So there's the material and the efficient. So efficient means like remote. The direct cause and the remote cause. So he's the cause of the immediate cause, and therefore he creates the effect because he's the cause of the immediate cause, because that's the efficient cause. Krishna, possessing all Shaktis, is that cause. Brahma realized this. Today, apart from you, the calves and cowherd boys and the four-armed forms you manifested, all that I saw of the material realm and the beings worshipping you were nothing but your Maya. So this makes it clear, yes, it's the effect. This is going back in this chapter because we're already at verse number 55, 56, 57, in that range. This is going back to verse number 18. So this is one of his prayers. Brahma is praying. Today, apart from you, then he lists the things that came from Krishna, directly manifested them. All that I saw of the material realm and the beings worshipping you were nothing but your Maya. That Yoga Maya, but his Maya. Please define what object is separate from him, since he is the cause. This is Jiva Goswami. He is the cause of all things. Since he is the root of everything, he was the cause of the appearance of all the boys and calves. He was naturally the shelter of prema in those forms. Directly from him, these manifestations came, and therefore they have prema within them. They're constituted of prema. The living entities of the spiritual realm don't have to do sadhana. We have to do sadhana. We have to do lots of things because the original consciousness is covered, but the original consciousness includes a subset of the original consciousness of all living entities, is prema. It's an aspect of them. Among all objects, prema, or bhava, is the substantial object. Sanatana Goswami writes, by deliberation, prema is the essence. Since that is the goal for everyone, for that prema, tasyapi, that's in the verse number 57. The Lord is the substantial object, since by prema only is Krishna achieved. Let's step back a little bit. These are concluding words to a very elevated and important chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the concluding words and the comments of these concluding words are by our acharyas, is helping us to understand the big picture of what we just heard Brahma experience, Brahma's prayers. And one of the things that we're hearing is these cowherd boys and these direct manifestations of Krishna were his Yogamaya potency. The impact of Krishna's Yogamaya potency can't be separated from Krishna. And he is able, and he did, withdraw them all as well. But that when he withdrew them, where'd they go? They're in him, or they're manifest, or they're withdrawn. But they're in him, or manifest, or withdrawn. And it's different states of the same being. The same entity as Krishna and Krishna and Krishna Prema. So they, the cowherd boys, were carriers of prema, so that when the parents, this is going back to the question, the parents, the mothers, had love for Krishna more than the love they had for their son, attachment, because by just touching him, by contacting him and being in his proximity, they were being impacted by his prema. And the cowherd boys, they were dear to them because they're from their bodies, and thus family affinity and so forth and so on. But it's here it is with Krishna as their son, just direct, and that's Vrindavan. Three more verses. You see, the letters are really big on the screen, so that means we're gonna chant it together, or responsively. Very, very well-known verse, very important verse. There were a few very important verses in this chapter, and this is one of them. Samashataye padapallavam palavam mahatpadam punya yashomarare Bhavam Budhir Vatsa Padam Param Padam 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 Yi Padam Natesham. This is called alliteration. I'm not a great scholar of poetry, but repetition of the same consonant sound is alliteration. It's a literary ornament, and Vyasadeva is certainly capable of literary ornaments. Here's the meaning. For those who accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and as famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Their goal is Param Padam, or Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. So let's do it again. Nice verse. Samashataye padapallavam plavam. Mahatpadam punya yasho murare. Plavam budhir vatsa padam param padam. Padam padam yadvi padam latesham. Again, the translation. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of material world is like the water contained in the Vatsapadam, the hoofprint of a calf. Their goal, those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, their goal is Param Padam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. And the BBT commentary, Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as Pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. Very nice painting showing the marks of Krishna's soles on his feet. Krishna's feet are like tender shoots, giving happiness by their qualities such as tenderness. This is Sanatana Goswami. Those feet are ultimate. They are known as the only method of crossing samsara. According to this is Sanatana Goswami's further commentary, the word Pallava also indicates that the Lord's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves great shelter for the conditioned souls of this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thus, continuing BBT, it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavan, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and, being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. So there are 61 verses. We're at verse 59. We're almost done. Since you inquired from me, I have fully described to you those activities of Lord Hari that were performed in his 5th year, but not celebrated until his 6th year. Clear? We understand the relative time calculation. In this way, the final object of love has been proved. Only by taking shelter of his lotus feet does one get liberated, and finally realize him. The outstanding position of the devotee is thus established. Punya, the still commentary on that same Punya Yasho Murari. Punya here means attractive. Murari is decorated with all attractive qualities. Punya Yasho Murari. One who has take shelter completely of the devotees, Mahatpadam, of Murari, endowed with attractive qualities, who are like a boat, plavam, does not even think of how to cross the material ocean. His goal is the eternal Dham of Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, Param Padam. Thus he never falls into difficulty, Vipadam, as his mind is not attracted to anything except the lotus feet of Krishna. We're about to finish the chapter. Any person who hears or chants these pastimes Lord Murari performed with his cowherd friends, killing a Bagasura, taking lunch on the forest grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires. I hope you have some spiritual desires, because you just got a benediction. This is BBT, many devotees seriously engaged in propagating Krishna consciousness are so often so busy that they cannot chant and hear the pastimes of the Lord to their full satisfaction. However, simply by their intense desire to always chant and hear about Lord Krishna, they will achieve spiritual perfection. Of course, as far as possible, one should actually vibrate these transcendental pastimes of the Lord. And the final verse. In this way, the boys spent their childhood in the land of Vrindavan playing hide-and-go-seek, building play bridges, jumping about like monkeys, and engaging in so many other such games. Here's the boys chasing after Krishna. Krishna's climbing a tree, and so they're doing what they're just following Krishna. Their affinity for Krishna is in this childhood phase. Now, as a whole year passed, moving from 5 years to 6 years of age, guess what? The next chapter, he's going to graduate from calves to cows. Gopastami. And that's how chapter 15 begins. Krishna's, very persistent with his father. He's 1 year older now. So he's going to take care of the cows. So we'll be honoring Gopastami. Not sometime later during our upcoming visits to Naperville. The plan is already chalked out for what happens coming back. Dinabandhu is going to be, it's like a whole thing going on. While I'm gone, there's Swamis and Prabhus crisscrossing all over the place. You'll be well entertained. Dinabandhu is so jolly. Your kids will be mesmerized. They won't have to run away after the kirtan and go do something else to keep themselves happy. In fact, my understanding is he was given a choice for Vedavyasa Priya Swami is going to give the Sunday class, and Dinabandhu is going to do a youth class. Because he liked the youth, and the youth like him, and it's a good match. Lots of fun. And he's really transcendental fun. When he tells it, he tells lots of jokes, and when he tells a joke, it's not just he laughs; it's his whole body laughs, and the room fills with his laughter, and everyone's with him. And then the next one, then the next one, the next one. He's a Brijbasi, transcendentalist, visiting America. Okay, so let's see if there's some, here's the last slide, the end. Eyeball. But that's a nice picture. We'll go back to the nice picture. Any comments or questions? We have 2 microphones, and I see 1 hand. I'm really happy that you're the first one with your hand up. That's really fantastic.
Hare Krishna
You usually
Maharaj.
hide in the background. And, you're happy to be unnoticed and enjoying. And thank you.
Thank you. Maharaj, Hare Krishna. One clarification I wanted. When we say taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, we also saw in slide 59 that pure devotees like Narada Muni also take shelter of lotus feet of Krishna. So when we genuinely take shelter of a pure devotee, we automatically reach.
Oh, yes, it's a very occupied juncture.
Yeah. So through them, we automatically reach
Yeah.
Krishna's lotus feet.
So take your pick or combination. You hit it. Well done. Well done. Second question.
It's dots I'm trying to connect in my head. So I wrote it down because I couldn't sleep. 3:30 in the morning, I was connecting these dots.
Really?
I was pondering about this current Lord Brahma we are talking about.
Yeah.
So we have heard that everything in the material realm from Lord Brahma to the ant is perishable and temporary.
The bodies, yeah.
So we have also heard that some of us could have been Brahmas at some point, right?
Not likely.
So I was just thinking, we also know that it is through Guru and Krishna's prasade we pai the bhakti lata bij. So I was thinking that when Brahma was apologizing to Krishna, Krishna did not even glance at him. Probably he thought he has some pride. So how did he get these deep realizations about the Brajvasis? Then,
By association with the Brajvasis.
okay,
When Dinabandhu comes, you'll find a lot about Brajvasis. Without even going to Vrindavan. Just meet Dinabandhu.
what was so special about this Lord Brahma that he even becomes Haridas Thakur and he gets so much personal mercy and association of Lord Chaitanya? What did he do?
Well, there's many, that's a nice question. There's many answers. And here's one of a few of those many answers. I haven't heard this statement that you made, although there's not contradictory, that maybe, who knows, maybe one of us was Brahma. Who knows? Never heard that one before. But it's not, but just taking on its face. One of the things that Prabhupada said on more than one occasion, I don't recall it being in writing, but he said it, that to achieve the post of Brahma, 100 lifetimes of flawless execution of varnashram. Try to do 1 minute, one day, or 100. So super, super, super qualified and loyal to the principle of duty and dharma, fastidious affinity. So here's a qualified person to have the power to build the universe. But it's not only he had to build the universe, he had to have self-realization and realization of Krishna, so that happened. And he was given the means, the tapasya, and etc., the mantra, And he was well acquainted. He was the receiver of the knowledge of all the Vedas before he built the universe. And then he delivered the knowledge of the Vedas to his disciplic succession, word personalities that helped fill up the universe. So he didn't just produce children, he imparted knowledge. So your question is, what did he do? He did lots and lots of, lots of tapasya, lots of flawless execution of varnashram, having received mantra directly from the internal potency of Krishna and the flute song of Krishna. So he had lots of transcendental contact and stayed fixed, fastidious with it for a long period of time. He's a perfect sadhaka. And some affinity being the creator for the creation. In other words, he took birth as Lord Brahma as opposed to a resident of Vaikuntha or the resident of Goloka or eternal associate of Krishna in the spiritual world. He had some material affinity, but lots and lots and lots of capacity. So your question, what did he do to get all this special? Lots of, who knows, how all the qualities of purification that he had received before that post of Brahma. And Krishna wanted to give him some mercy. So my understanding is that Krishna inspired him to do what he did, to transgress his affection and regard for Krishna, who gave him the Vedic knowledge and taught him how to build the universe and gave him the creative impetus and, Shakti Avatar and the whole thing. Krishna inspired him to make this offense. Because it's a big offense. So, but it's part of Krishna's plan to reveal to him and then have him have at the end a desire to become even the blade of grass or a living entity of any kind in Vrindavan. But it wasn't time for him to do that because he had the rest of the period of the universe to preside over it. And for that reason, Krishna didn't look at him and didn't say to him, and he took it. Krishna wants me to return, so he returned. Silence meant, I'm not, now is not the time to fulfill this desire. More? Okay.
Just follow up. So
Here's the microphone.
do all Brahmas get this level of mercy? No. There are
don't
not
know.
that many.
I don't know. We don't need many. We just have one. Why not? But I don't know.
Then yet they are considered part of the material realm.
Yes.
And perishable.
Yes. Look, he's the presiding deity of the mode of passion. Shakti Avatar. There's a pastime in the 10th canto in Dwarka where Brahma is summoned by Krishna in Dwarka to see him. You know the story. Kind of. Okay, it's a nice story. So when he comes, he is at the gate and he announces his presence. I've come, Krishna called me, please let him know that I've come. Message comes back. Krishna wants to know which Brahma. And Brahma sends back a message. What are you talking about? The Chaturmukha Brahma. So it's not just each Brahma. There's so many Brahmas for so many universes, and some 10 heads and 100 heads and 1,000 heads. And They all assemble together in front of Krishna, where he can see all of them, but they can't see him. You know, what trick Krishna pulled to make that happen, doesn't say, but by his own potencies, Krishna can make anything happen. And so Brahma offered his very sincere prayers. Now, you know, you're back to your, what did he do to make himself eligible for that? He's already gotten this mercy, and now he's getting some more mercy on top of that mercy, and getting some more mercy on top of that mercy. So, is it the same Brahma? There's many Brahmas. Did all those things happen to all those Brahmas? I don't know. But the Brahma of our current universe did. And he's very special. He's the head of our sampradaya, and he's very special in many, many ways, directly receiving. But as far as he's concerned, that the mercy of the cowherd boys far surpasses anything that he has achieved or is. Okay. The reference for
how the living entity first takes birth as Lord Brahma.
Okay, let's hear it.
Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati
Where'd she go?
Thakur confirms.
Don't disappear. This is for you. Go ahead.
This is from the 9th canto,
9th canto.
24th chapter. Prabhupada writes,
Which chapter?
24th chapter.
24th chapter.
When the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead unfortunately wants to enjoy independently without Krishna, he is put into material world where he begins his life as Brahma and is gradually degraded to the status of an ant or worm in stool. So that is the Prabhupada. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in Brahmana Vaishnava book 2nd chapter, he says, that at that time the living entity consider himself the king of enjoyers, and being situated in the mode of passion, he takes the position of Brahma and creates progeny. So, 2 references.
I'm not going to comment. I mean, there's one can ask a question. By inference, does that mean, look around the room, all of us were, how are we to understand that? Some other topic, please.
Couple of thoughts, Guru Maharaj. One, I'm linking this whole pastime to what we were hearing from you yesterday about crookedness. So even though Lord Brahma was offensive, but he was very simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
And so it seems that's the pivot which determines whether we get mercy or not, because it seems we're inevitably making offenses given our conditioned nature, and being insensitive and having impacts that we don't want to have on people. But the determining factor of, whether we still continue and continue to get the mercy is that simplicity or crookedness of heart.
Yeah. I want to comment on that. In his prayers, the indication was that what was done was not out of malice. It was done out of childishness, frivolity. So it wasn't a malicious act. It was wrong. But please excuse me, because you're like a father and mother, and fathers and mothers don't They look at the foolishness of their foolish child as oh, that's foolishness. They don't become cemented in or intractable anger towards. So, yeah, straightforward and sincere. When he did something wrong, and he recognized that he was ready to fess up and take responsibility for whatever Krishna wanted to do. But he didn't want an obstacle in their relationship as a result. Go ahead.
And another thought, Guru Maharaj, zooming out of this particular pastime, considering the context within which this entire narration is happening, we're almost towards the end of the Bhagavatam. We're in the 10th canto, and there's 2 more cantos remaining. And one could say this could be a very morbid situation where there's a person that is at the verge of death, terminally ill. And it's just so interesting to see where the absorption is. It's not in taking care of the practicalities, and the absorption is in this just incredibly loving, rasa-filled pastimes, play between the cowherd boyfriends and Krishna. And I was relating this to, I was hearing a class from Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj, and he was saying Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days to live. And he said, all of us, we're sure to die either on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday or Sunday. So we all have 7 days to live. So he was encouraging us to also, in this way, be absorbed.
Yeah. From time to time, there's something happening in the devotee community or some member of the devotee community where a family member or their uncle or somebody is about to leave. And it's certain to happen for all of us. And then, like Maharaj Parikshit, what do? If the person is not of the caliber of Maharaj Parikshit, they don't have the training and the adhikar that Maharaj Parikshit had, what do? And one answer is you do what Maharaj Parikshit did. You assist them in ways that Shukadeva Goswami and the assembly of sages assisted, and that's the best thing you can do, along with whatever else medical and something one can do. You wanted the microphone. You got it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, there's 2 statements that I'm confused about, one from Bhagavatam and one from Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavatam 11th canto, Krishna says, Mat Bhakta Puja Vyadikas. And then in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Avidi Purvakam. So Krishna is saying that if you worship demigods, it's Avadi Purvakam.
Yes.
But from 11th canto, when Krishna says worship of my devotee is greater than worshipping me. So demigods are still considered to be devotees. So why can't we take shelter of demigods?
Do you have an affinity or just like a college student kind of question? You understand what I'm asking? Or is it that you want to worship a demigod and you feel obstructed by what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Or is it like a college question? Over here it says this and over there it says that, and how do I sort out these 2 things?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of these
two things.
Yeah,
be contrasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Two things, at least 2 things. One, the demigods are devotees, and therefore it's within the Vedas this process of demigod worship. It's Vedic. It's in the Vedas. Demigod worship is in the Vedas. So why poo-poo it? And that's what's in the 11th canto. That's what's in the 11th canto. So, but worship my devotee, and then there's gradations of my devotees. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is indicating that's Vedic to worship the demigods, but it's not the same, because worshiping demigods and worshiping a pure devotee is not the same. Worshipping Narada Muni and worshipping King Indra is not the same, for example. So they're both devotees. So why poo-poo worshipping the demigods and say yes to worship of the devotee, Narada, or Vyas, or any one of our great personalities? Why do we, on the appearance days of great personalities, we have festivals in honor of them? At least that's ideal to do like that. So we worship the devotee with the understanding that here is a link that takes one to Krishna, because that's where they are. Like this other question, not question, but realization. At Krishna's lotus feet are great devotees. So you worship the great devotee and you're at Krishna's feet, because that's where they are. So that's the recommendation. Then there's, because so say it again, the Vedic process does not say don't do demigod worship. Where did demigod worship come from anyways? It comes from the Vedas. So why is it in the Vedas? If on the other hand Krishna is saying avidi purvakam, because it's a lesser stage. Those who have attachment to worship of the demigod, there are persons that have no attachment. They have attachment to a rock and roll star, or a sports hero, or a movie star, or whatever. There's affinity for someone. So some persons have affinity for the demigods, and it's Vedic. It's not to be. But what's the purpose of that demigod? What's the purpose of the Vedas? To know Krishna. So this is the connect the dots kind of answer. It's Vedic, so not trash it, but the person who gave us the Vedas is saying that's in the lesser position, go to the greater position. Pure devotee. And ultimately, the pure devotee is at the feet of Krishna, so you're worshipping Krishna by worshipping the pure devotee who is at the feet of Krishna. They're not contradictory. Okay. Online. Up front.
I don't know who is asking the question, Maharaj. The question is about during Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, many devotees from the spiritual world descended, but how does Lord Brahma expand since he is still in this material world? He or she is asking this question since Lord Brahma prays about his next birth, but he also takes a birth as Haridas Thakur while he is still Lord Brahma.
What does that mean? That he took birth as Haridas Thakur? What does that mean? Because he's in the post of Brahma. Did he hang up a sign and said, take a vacation, I'm going to leave here and take birth as Haridas Thakur and then come back, but I'll leave a note for me, I'll see you when I come back. What does that mean? He took birth as Haridas. Manasi Ganga, what does it mean? And so it's not that he split himself, he became two souls. That's not an answer. There's no such thing. One soul doesn't become two souls. There's some silly ideas like that, but that's a silly idea. The answer that is given, a common answer that's given, is an angsa of a jiva may, by the Lord's arrangement, and angsa means a part of a jiva, may manifest for the purpose of the Lord's pastimes. And in this way, eternal associates of Krishna participate in Gaur Lila. And the common or a common understanding is an angsa of that. That means the spirit and a part of. How small is a jiva? Pretty small. And what's a small part of something that's already so small? What's an angsa of a jiva? How do you even think of that? What's the measurement? And so it's not quite like that. It's a spiritual function that's manifest according to the desire of, ultimately the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he is going to appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has associates. And the associates are angsas of his eternal associates in Vrindavan. No problem. The spiritual mathematics is 1 minus 1 equals 1. Figure that one out. But that's how it works. An angsa of that personality, the jiva, is manifest to as Haridas Thakur. Yes. We're going to take 1 or 2 more questions and we're going to close up.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. So much appreciation for the past time. It's just so wonderful. Like the last time, I was just sharing this Madhurena Samapayet, and again today's session, just that attraction and shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. It's just so beautiful.
That has, by design, the chapter ends like that.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. Guru Maharaj, I was reflecting on, I think 2 slides before the last slide, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's commentary on verse 58. He was saying, these devotees who take shelter of the Lord, they don't even think of crossing the material ocean. And they're never into these vipadas or dangers because their mind is always attracted to Lord's lotus feet and nothing else. So just reflecting on that, these used to be my favorite or go-to verses, Gnane Prayasa, and then Tatenukampam, the last line, Jivetayo Mukti Pade Sadayabhak. Somehow or other, stay in the process and trying to practice bhakti, and then with by whatever means take shelter of Krishna, just so I can cross this material ocean. That's how the impetus was. Just seeing this, it's just so beautiful, and I'm appreciating the message of Srimad Bhagavatam as we keep hearing how it can propel us to go deeper into the real essence of bhakti, not just negating the material existence or.
Yeah, just saying the same thing in different words, but the same thing. There's bhakti shakti within the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's shakti that has the power, the potency, the shakti to propel us from the material and towards the spiritual, towards Krishna, towards Bhagavan, towards appreciating and relishing and getting some little more realization from that purification and the inspiration. And by regularly, they becomes one's life. The idea, along with chanting and deity worship and serving the devotees, these primary activities of bhakti, the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is one. It carries us from this realm to the spiritual realm. There's a certain power, and it's nice. And and it's nice. It's not that we don't get old and don't, birth, death, disease, and old age is still going on around us. There's still turmoil and tribulation and so forth. But how it impacts us and how it doesn't have the same effect as it did before is remarkable, palpable. As long as one doesn't desist and as long as it doesn't make, undue offenses and not acknowledge them. Something else. You got the last one. Look at that. There's a microphone right there.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
There you go.
So, in the last part of the verses, they use the word, the Bhagavatam, they use the word Murari, killer of the demon Mura. So, yeah. I would like to know why they chosen Murari instead of other names of Krishna.
It's Shukadeva Goswami, and our commentators could do a much better job than I'm going to do, but my understanding of when addressing Krishna as Murari, the sense is he is a protector. It's a feature of Krishna where he's extending protection to everyone, to us personally, and to everyone. And how does he do so? There are, the Mura demon was a problem, and the demigods had no idea what to do until they called to Krishna, and Krishna came and dealt with him. The Mura demon. The wives of kings. Rupa Goswami says it wasn't the wives of kings. That was just a rumor. It was the gopis of Vrindavan. And he kidnapped them and imprisoned them. And the Mura demon was protecting that fortress. So Krishna came and dealt with Mura and, the wicked king. To free us to again us or free them. He frees us from that barrier that keeps us, in jail or imprisoned in our own the foolishness or in misfortune of life. So that's an aspect of Krishna that Murari represents. It's invoking that feature, that protection feature of Krishna from assault, from peace, and persons that would keep us from Krishna, like the Mura demon. So we'll end. And parting is such sweet sorrow, but I'll be back in a week. And it's different topics, but that's okay. There's a continuous flow of topics, and then in between there's going to be other VIPs visiting, and you'll all have a nice time. Just stay with it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.